Welcome to a story that will change your perception of love. In a world where the borders between human and extraterrestrial are more permeable than you think, you will meet two beings whose destinies are intertwined by the most impossible destiny: love. Our hero, a brave and passionate earthling, will be involved in an epic adventure when he saves a beautiful and mysterious extraterrestrial. However, society is not ready to accept something as unheard of as their love. Will they be able to overcome the obstacles of destiny? Find out in this exciting plot of romance, fantasy, and action. Don't miss every chapter of Transdimensional Love. On a quiet summer night, under the silver glow of the moon, he was walking alone through the woods near his hometown. His name was Lucas, a young man in his 20s with a seemingly normal life, but with a heart full of dreams and concerns. He was an amateur explorer, always looking for new experiences and challenges. That night, however, his steps took him to a place he had never seen before. As he made his way through the trees, he heard a strange noise, as if something was struggling near a clearing. Intrigued, he quickened his pace and came upon a scene that changed his life forever. There, in the middle of the forest, a beautiful woman lay on the ground, surrounded by bright flashes and a halo of blue light. Her skin had an almost translucent tone, and her eyes were a deep, almost hypnotic green color. She was injured, and her breathing was weak. Lucas ran to her, wondering how someone so beautiful could be in such a situation. Carefully, he picked her up and began to carry her towards his house, completely ignoring the weight he felt in his arms. The stranger opened her eyes and looked at him gratefully, though she seemed unable to speak. He felt an instant connection, as if something inside him wanted to protect her at all costs. When they arrived at her shelter, Lucas did his best to help her recover. He made her a calming infusion and covered her with blankets, but she was still in shock. The next day, when she woke up, she seemed much better, but she didn't say a word. Lucas decided to call a doctor friend, but when he arrived, she shook her head, explaining that there was nothing physically wrong with her. All he could do was wait for her to recover on her own. Over the next few days, Lucas and the mysterious woman, now called Arya, formed a special connection. She told him that she was from a distant planet, where beings lived in harmony with nature, but that her ship was shot down during a peace mission. Lucas felt a mix of admiration and concern for her, but also a sense of unease. How could they be together? What would happen if people found out who she was? Arya remained silent, watching Lucas as he prepared food in the small kitchen. Her green eyes shone with a mix of curiosity and gratitude. Lucas, for his part, was trying to understand how to handle the situation. Not only was he helping an alien, but he also felt a deep attraction to her. It was as if he had waited his whole life to find someone like that. "Why did they choose me?" Lucas finally asked, breaking the silence. Arya stared at him, as if she was trying to find the right words. After a few moments, she replied, "We didn't choose you. It was fate that brought us together. My ship was shot down in a space storm, and my team and I were scattered across the universe. I landed here on this planet, and you were simply there to help me." Lucas nodded slowly, trying to take in what he had heard. Arya continued, "My planet, Xyler, is very different from yours. We are beings of light, capable of telepathic communication and of traveling through space without the need for ships. But when we encounter less advanced civilizations, such as yours, it is difficult to establish contact. Many of us have been captured or killed by humans who do not understand our true nature." Lucas frowned, worried. "Does that mean you can't return to your planet? What will happen to you?" Arya sighed deeply. "If we manage to repair my ship, yes. But if not, then—" She paused, looking away. "Then I will have to stay here, a prisoner of this world." Lucas felt a lump in his throat. He couldn't imagine someone so beautiful and noble being rejected simply for being different. He decided he would do everything he could to help her, even if it meant taking on the entire society. "Don't worry," Lucas said with determination. "We'll find a way to get you back home. And in the meantime, I'll be by your side, no matter what we have to do." Arya smiled, and for the first time since she arrived, Her eyes shone with a special light. Lucas felt his heart beat faster. He knew he was in love with her, but he also knew that their love was impossible. Human society would not accept an alien as a companion. However, he couldn't let that stop him. As the days went by, Lucas and Aria's relationship grew more and more intense. Although they both tried to keep things on a friendly level, it was impossible to deny the chemistry that existed between them. Lucas began to feel a physical and emotional attraction that he had never experienced before. Aria, for her part, was also struggling with her own feelings. Her people used to avoid romantic relationships with humans, as they considered them to be too primitive. But with Lucas, something was different. One day, while walking together through the woods, Aria suddenly stopped and looked Lucas straight in the eyes. "What do you feel for me?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. Lucas hesitated for a moment, trying to find the right words. Finally, he replied, "I feel something I've never felt before. It's like my heart is alive for the first time. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know I want to be with you." Aria looked down, blushing. Lucas walked over to her and took her hand, feeling the warmth of her skin against his. She looked up at him again, and there was something new in his eyes, a vulnerability she'd never seen before. "I have feelings for you, too," he finally admitted. "But I don't know if it's right. My people don't approve of these things. They tell us that humans are dangerous, that we can't trust them." Lucas smiled softly. "They may be dangerous to some, but not to me. And I don't think you're dangerous to me either." Arya sighed, closing her eyes for a moment. When she opened them again, there was a determination in her gaze. "So what do we do? What do we do with these feelings?" Lucas hugged her, feeling the warmth of her body against his. "The only thing we can do is move forward together. We'll see how this turns out." Arya clung to him, feeling a security she had never experienced before. For the first time in a long time, she allowed herself to believe that everything would be okay. Despite the growing feelings between Lucas and Arya, reality soon hit them. One day, while they were working on repairing Arya's ship, alarming news arrived. A group of military personnel had found clues of extraterrestrial activity in the area. The authorities had issued an alert and would soon send troops to investigate. Lucas and Arya knew they didn't have much time. If the military found them, it would be the end, not just for them, but for any chance Arya could get back to her planet. "We have to go," Lucas said, his voice shaking with tension. "We can't stay here." Arya nodded, but there was a look of doubt on her face. "Where will we go? We can't just disappear." Lucas looked around thoughtfully. There was one place he knew, a secluded and safe place where they could temporarily hide. It was an old shelter in the mountains, one he had found during one of his explorations. It was remote and difficult to find, but it might provide them with the protection they needed. "There's a place," Lucas said finally, "a shelter in the mountains. We could use it to hide until we can find a solution." Arya nodded, though she didn't seem completely convinced. They didn't have much of a choice, though. Together, they packed up what they needed and headed into the mountains, praying that the shelter would be everything Lucas had promised. The journey to the mountain shelter was long and tiring. Arya, despite her strength, showed signs of fatigue after the long recovery period and the recent stresses. Lucas, however, kept up the pace, driven by the need to reach a safe place. Finally, after hours of walking, they reached the shelter. The place was a small chalet hidden among the mountains, surrounded by giant trees and waterfalls falling from above. It was perfect for staying hidden, but it also offered a tranquility that they both needed. Once inside, Lucas lit a campfire and began to prepare a simple dinner while Arya explored the place. "This is incredible," Arya said, her voice filled with wonder. "I've never seen a place like this on my planet. It's like nature itself embraces you." Lucas smiled, happy to see her relax. "It's a good place to rest, and I hope we can use it to think about our next step." Arya sat by the fire, watching the flames dance. There was a moment of silence, filled with thought. Finally, she broke the silence. "Lucas, what if we can't find a way to get me back to my planet? What if I have to stay here forever?" Lucas looked in her eyes, feeling a pang of pain in his chest. He didn't want to think about that possibility, but he knew it was real. So, he began, trying to find the right words. then we'll just have to find a way to live together. It doesn't matter what anyone says. The important thing is that we're together. Arya looked at him with gratitude, but also with concern. She knew that their relationship was impossible in many ways, but she also knew that she couldn't deny what she felt for him. What if they can't accept it? He asked. What if human society rejects us? Lucas sighed, knowing that was a question that had no easy answer. Then, he replied, then we'll have to fight for our right to be happy. No matter how difficult it is, no matter how impossible it seems, there will always be a way. Arya nodded slowly, trying to take in his words. Lucas walked over to her and hugged her, feeling the warmth of her body against his. In that moment, everything else disappeared. All that mattered was being together, in that moment, in that place. They spent several days in the shelter, taking advantage of the time to rest and plan their next move. Lucas had gotten some materials to repair Arya's ship, but they still had a lot of work to do. Arya, for her part, was trying to communicate with her planet through its advanced technology, but she was getting no answers. One day, while they were working, Lucas received unexpected news. A group of soldiers had found clues that led them directly to the shelter. They had little time before they arrived. We have to go, Lucas said, his voice full of urgency. We can't stay here. Arya nodded, but there was a look of determination on her face. We can't just run away. We need a permanent solution. If we can't return me to my planet, then we'll have to find a way to live here. Lucas looked at her, surprised by her decision. What do you have in mind? Arya walked over to a small console she had brought with her and began typing rapidly. After a few minutes, a blue light appeared on the screen. My scientists on Xyler have been working on a solution, Arya explained. They have developed a technology that can adapt my biology to that of humans. If we can activate it, I will be able to live on this planet without problems. Lucas frowned in disbelief. Are you sure that will work? Arya nodded firmly. It's a risk, but it's our only option. If we don't try, we'll never have a chance to be together. Lucas looked at Arya, feeling a mix of excitement and fear. He knew this could change everything, but he also knew there was no other option. Okay, he said finally. We'll do this, but promise me we'll be together, no matter what. Arya smiled, taking his hand. I promise I'll always be with you. The operation to adapt Arya's biology to that of humans was complicated and dangerous. Lucas and Arya worked together, using their ship's advanced technology to make the necessary adjustments. Arya plugged into the console and began to receive the transformation. During the process, her body began to change, taking on more human features. Her skin darkened, her eyes became darker, and her telepathic abilities diminished. Lucas watched her with concern, but also with admiration. Arya was making a huge sacrifice for him, and that made him feel even closer to her. Are you okay? Lucas asked, his voice filled with anxiety. Arya looked at him with a weak smile. I'm fine. This is just the beginning. Everything will be ready soon. After several hours, the process was finally over. Arya logged out of the console and slowly stood up. Her body was no longer the same, but there was something familiar about her now. It was as if she had completed a crucial part of her transformation. It's done, Arya said, her voice filled with determination. I'm now able to live on this planet without any problems. Lucas hugged her, feeling the warmth of her body against his. He knew this had changed everything, but he also knew they were closer than ever. I'm proud of you, Lucas said, his voice filled with emotion. You've made a great sacrifice for us. Arya smiled, caressing his face. It wasn't a sacrifice. It was a step towards our future together. After the transformation, Arya felt different, but not just physically. She was now able to fully adapt to life on planet Earth. But she also felt a deeper connection with Lucas. Their relationship had evolved, and they both knew they couldn't keep hiding forever. They needed to find a way to integrate into human society. Lucas began working on a plan to give Arya a new identity. Using contacts and forged documents, he managed to create a history that would make her a human citizen. Arya would have a new name, a plausible story, and an appearance that would not raise suspicions. It was a huge risk, but they were both willing to face it. Are you ready for this? Lucas asked, looking at her with concern. Arya nodded firmly. I'm ready, as long as you're by my side. Lucas smiled, taking her hand. I will always be by your side. With documents in hand, Arya adopted the name Alana and began to learn about human culture and customs. Lucas helped her in every way possible, teaching her languages, customs, and social habits. As the days passed, Alana became more confident and adapted to her new life. However, the threat of discovery continued to loom. The military continued to search for clues of extraterrestrial activity, and the authorities continued to investigate any anomaly. Lucas and Alana knew they could not be complacent and that they had to act with caution. Alana, Arya, began to explore her new life in human society. She took a job at a small local coffee shop, where her calm presence and natural beauty made her popular with the customers. Lucas, meanwhile, worked at a mechanic shop, helping to repair Alana's ship in his spare time. Although they continued to hide their true relationship, they both enjoyed small moments together, sharing laughs and secrets in the quiet of their shelter. One day, while sitting in a local park, Lucas approached Alana and took her hand. Do you like your life here? He asked, his voice full of concern. Alana smiled, looking into his eyes. I like being with you. That's what really matters. Lucas hugged her, feeling the warmth of her body against his. It doesn't matter what others say. The only thing that matters is that we are together. Alana nodded, stroking her hair. You're right. The only thing that matters is what we feel for each other. Despite their efforts to remain hidden, the threat of discovery remained. One day, while Lucas and Alana were working on the ship, they received alarming news. The military had found clues that led them directly to their hideout. They had little time before they arrived. We have to go, Lucas said, his voice full of urgency. We can't stay here. Alana nodded, but there was a look of determination on her face. We can't just run away. We need a permanent solution. If we can't return me to my planet, then we'll have to find a way to live here. Lucas looked at her, surprised by her decision. What do you have in mind? Alana walked over to a small console she had brought with her and began typing rapidly. After a few minutes, a blue light appeared on the screen. My scientists on Xyler have been working on a solution, Alana explained. They have developed a technology that can adapt my biology to that of humans. If we can activate it, I will be able to live on this planet without problems. Lucas frowned in disbelief. Are you sure that will work? Alana nodded firmly. It's a risk, but it's our only option. If we don't try, we'll never have a chance to be together. Lucas looked at Alana, feeling a mix of excitement and fear. He knew this could change everything, but he also knew there was no other option. Okay, he said finally. We'll do this, but promise me we'll be together no matter what. Alana smiled, taking his hand. I promise I'll always be with you. The operation to adapt Alana's biology to that of humans was complicated and dangerous. Lucas and Alana worked together, using their ship's advanced technology to make the necessary adjustments. Alana plugged into the console and began to receive the transformation. During the process, her body began to change, taking on more human features. Her skin darkened, her eyes became darker, and her telepathic abilities diminished. Lucas watched her with concern, but also with admiration. Alana was making a huge sacrifice for him, and that made him feel even closer to her. Are you okay? Lucas asked, his voice filled with anxiety. Alana looked at him with a weak smile. I'm Fina. This is just the beginning. Everything will be ready soon. After several hours, the process was finally over. Alana logged out of the console and slowly stood up. Her body was no longer the same, but there was something familiar about her now. It was as if she had completed a crucial part of her transformation. It's done, Alana said, her voice full of determination. I'm now able to live on this planet without problems. Lucas hugged her, feeling the warmth of her body against his. He knew this had changed everything, but he also knew they were closer than ever. I'm proud of you, Lucas said, his voice filled with emotion. You've made a great sacrifice for us. Alana smiled, caressing his face. It wasn't a sacrifice. It was a step towards our future together. After the transformation, Alana, Arya, felt more integrated into human life. Her body had changed, but her essence and her love for Lucas remained intact. With her new identity, Alana began to build a normal life, working at the cafeteria and learning about the culture and customs of her new home. Lucas, for his part, continued to help her, making sure everything went well. One day, while working at the coffee shop, Alana noticed a new customer. He was an older man, dressed in a business suit, who seemed to be watching her intently. His presence was unsettling, and Alana couldn't help but feel nervous. Lucas, who was in the back, noticed the tension in her body and approached her. "Are you okay?" Lucas whispered, worried. Alana nodded, trying to maintain her composure. "He's just a customer," he said, although his voice trembled slightly. The older man, however, did not leave. He walked up to the bar and ordered a coffee. While waiting, he kept staring at Alana, which made her feel even more uncomfortable. Lucas, noticing the situation, decided to intervene. "Do you want anything else?" Lucas asked, addressing the man. The man turned to Lucas, his eyes shining with an intensity that made them both freeze. "I just watch," the man replied, his voice calm but ominous. "I watch and I learn." Lucas frowned, feeling uneasy. Someone had discovered that Alana wasn't human, and now her secret was in danger. That night, Lucas and Alana decided to discuss the situation. The man in the coffee shop had left a deep impression on both of them, and now they had some important decisions to make. "What do you think he meant?" Alana asked, her voice filled with concern. Lucas sighed, trying to analyze the situation. "I'm not sure, but something's not right. That man seemed to know more than he should. He could be a government agent, or even someone connected to the military looking for aliens." Alana nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. "So what do we do? We can't keep hiding forever." Lucas hugged her, trying to calm her down. "We are not going to give up. We're going to fight for our right to be together. But we need a plan." Alana snuggled into his arms, feeling his strength and determination. "I'm with you. Always." Lucas smiled, even though his heart was beating fast. He knew the road would be difficult, but he also knew he wasn't alone. Lucas and Alana began planning their next move. They knew they needed information about the man in the coffee shop and decided to investigate further. Lucas used his contacts to find out who the man was and what role he played. After several days of investigation, they discovered that the man was a government agent specializing in cases of extraterrestrial activity. "This man is dangerous," Lucas said, reading the reports. "He's been involved in the capture of other aliens in the past. If he finds us, we won't stand a chance." Alana nodded, worried. "So what do we do?" Lucas looked at her with determination. "Let's get ahead of him. If this man is looking for us, we'll have to act first." They decided they needed more allies. Lucas contacted a scientist friend he had met during his explorations. This friend, named Dr. Alana, was an expert in extraterrestrial technology and was willing to help. Together, they began to develop a plan to neutralize the government agent and protect their secret. The day of confrontation came quicker than they expected. Lucas and Alana met up with Dr. Alana at a secret location, ready to put their plan into action. Dr. Alana had developed a device that could interfere with the government agent's technology, causing him to lose track of Alana. "This is crucial," Dr. Alana said, handing the device to Lucas. "If this man finds us, we won't stand a chance." Lucas nodded, carefully taking the device. "Thank you, Alana. I wouldn't know what to do without your help." Dr. Alana smiled, although her expression was serious. "Just remember, this is a battle we cannot lose. If we fail, all will be lost." Lucas and Alana headed to the place where they had last seen the government agent. Upon arriving, they found a man guarding the coffee shop. It was the same man who had watched them before. Lucas and Alana hid behind a building, waiting for the right moment to act. The government agent pulled a device from his pocket and began searching for clues. Lucas activated the device Dr. Alana had given him, jamming the agent's signal. The man stopped, confused, and looked around. "What the hell?" he muttered, trying to locate the source of the interference. Lucas and Alana took advantage of the moment to approach him. Lucas placed a bandage on his face and tied him tightly, while Alana removed the device he had been using. This is for our freedom, Lucas said, looking at the tied-up agent. Alana nodded, feeling relieved. Now we can move on. The day of confrontation came quicker than Lucas and Alana had planned. After weeks of preparations, they finally met up with Dr. Alana at a secret location, ready to put their plan into motion. The device she had developed was the key to neutralizing the government agent and protecting their secret. It was a device that could interfere with the agent's technology, disorienting him and eliminating any trace of them. This device is crucial, Dr. Alana said, handing it to Lucas. If this man finds us, we won't stand a chance. Lucas nodded, carefully taking the device. Thank you, Alana. I wouldn't know what to do without your help. Dr. Alana smiled, although her expression was serious. Remember, this is a battle we cannot lose. If we fail, all will be lost. Lucas and Alana headed to the place where they had last seen the government agent. Upon arriving, they found a man guarding the coffee shop. It was the same man who had watched them before. Lucas and Alana hid behind a building, waiting for the right moment to act. The government agent pulled a device from his pocket and began searching for clues. Lucas activated the device Dr. Alana had given him, jamming the agent's signal. The man stopped, confused, and looked around. What the hell? He muttered, trying to locate the source of the interference. Lucas and Alana took advantage of the moment to approach him. Lucas placed a bandage on his face and tied him tightly, while Alana removed the device he had been using. This is for our freedom, Lucas said, looking at the tied-up agent. Alana nodded, feeling relieved. Now we can move on. After the confrontation, Lucas and Alana decided that they needed a complete change of life. They knew that they could not continue hiding forever and that they needed a new identity. With the help of Dr. Alana, they began to plan a new future together. Dr. Alana provided them with forged documents and helped them find a safe place to start over. We have to get away from here, Lucas said, looking at Alana with determination. We can't risk someone else finding us. Alana nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. I'm with you. Wherever we go, I'll be by your side. Lucas smiled, even though his heart was beating fast. He knew the road would be difficult, but he also knew he wasn't alone. Dr. Alana provided them with a new home in a small rural town, far from the big cities and any possible danger. There, they began a new life, working in a small restaurant and living in a quiet cabin. Alana quickly adapted to her new identity, working in the restaurant and gaining the trust of her neighbors. Lucas, for his part, set about repairing and improving the cabin, making sure it was a safe and comfortable place for them. As the days passed, they both began to feel more comfortable in their new home. However, the threat of being discovered never completely disappeared. Despite their new life, the tension between Lucas and Alana was still present. They both knew they couldn't relax and that they had to be constantly on their toes. One day, while working at the restaurant, alarming news arrived. A group of government investigators had begun searching the region, looking for clues of extraterrestrial activity. Lucas and Alana knew immediately that their secret was in danger. We have to act fast, Lucas said, his voice full of urgency. We can't let them find us. Alana nodded, worried. What do we do? We can't just disappear. Lucas looked at her with determination. We're not going to give up. We're going to fight for our right to be together. But we need a plan. Alana snuggled into his arms, feeling his strength and determination. I'm with you. Always. Lucas smiled, even though his heart was beating fast. He knew the road would be difficult, but he also knew he wasn't alone. The group of government investigators was rapidly approaching. Lucas and Alana knew they didn't have much time. They decided to meet with Dr. Alana one last time to discuss their options. Dr. Alana provided them with a final plan, a way to divert the investigators' attention and protect their secret. We need to create a distraction, Dr. Alana said. Something to keep them busy while we escape. Lucas nodded, understanding the plan. What do you propose? Dr. Alana smiled, although her expression was serious. A simulated attack. Something that makes investigators think there is extraterrestrial activity somewhere else. Lucas and Alana understood the plan and began to prepare. They used the advanced technology on Alana's ship to create false signals that appeared to be coming from a different location. The researchers were redirected, and Lucas and Alana took advantage of the moment to escape. Eventually, Lucas and Alana managed to escape from the investigators and began a new life in peace. Although the threat of being discovered never completely disappeared, they both knew they had done everything they could to protect their love. They lived together in their new home, surrounded by nature and tranquility. Alana fully adapted to human life, and they both found a happiness they had never imagined. "Thank you for being by my side," Alana said, looking at Lucas lovingly. Lucas smiled, caressing her face. "Thank you for trusting me. Together we can face any challenge." They both knew that their love was unique and special. Even though they faced many difficulties, they were always together, facing every obstacle with determination and courage. And now, finally, they could enjoy a peaceful and fulfilling life, knowing that their love was stronger than any barrier. Thank you for joining us on this exciting adventure. If you enjoyed the story of Lucas and Alana, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe, and share your comments. See you in future stories and adventures.